Good morning, welcome to a morning review. This is Kim Watson speaking on Wednesday the 1st of July. Okay, as we move into the new month, we're looking at the euro and it's still sitting pretty much in the range it's been in the last few months. So no significant effect yet of the, Greek did not pay back its debt last night when it was due. So we're now in effectively in default mode. Yet the euro's not really reflected that. They did ask for an extension, and there's all sorts of last minute attempts to bail out or save itself. Anyway, regardless, what we can see here, got the monthly pivot just fractionally above us. Now there is a chance that we could see a move up to this. At the moment we're selling off in the short term, which if we break yesterday's low from this bearish harami, well, we could push on for the lows, perhaps push down towards the 10-18 area, maybe looking from a 60 minute point of view. This is where we sit. We've got the daily pivot, monthly pivot above us. There's a draw to that. If we were to change tact, that would be sort of target areas, initial target areas, followed by maybe even if it got into any sort of move towards yesterday's highs there at the R1 area. The way it's scanning at the moment, it could easily head off towards the S1 sort of region. There's no obvious support levels. Possibly the S2 area could be support if it was to get down there with some of the more recent candles, but there's nothing massively significant there which may help out. So it's really could just sort of free fall a little bit. You've got yesterday's lows at the moment. It just may hold up if it moves down to that way. I'd like to see the new monthly pivot, new weekly pivot all hit. Let's just refresh this chart. There we go. I would like to see those two pivots hit. Would be good. I just like the stats to be correct and out of the way. So there's a possibility of that. So it's so early in the morning that I'm almost expecting that to happen, but obviously got to be careful here because it could just run into free fall. Okay, looking at the pound. Ooh, yuck. Okay, monthly pivot below us, so it's a bit of a different story to the euro. It did make some reasonable upward progress during last month. Now we're sort of sitting there not far from the double bottom sort of area at 156.65, some of that region. If we saw a break of that, we could see us going back for the 21 and the monthly pivot. We could get a decent bounce off the combination there if it does come down that way. But the 4 hour really sums things up, and how choppy things are and how rangy it is. It's pretty ugly at the moment. And we have the daily pivot above us, but just looking at these daily pivots, you see there's no trend hardly. You just put a line across it in the mode of there's barely any trend within the cable at all. It's a very indecisive movement for some time now. Hopefully we'll see a break of this at some point, but for today, if we do see a move back towards the daily pivot there at 57.27 would be at least a decent move this morning. It could happen quite quickly. The ranges are very tight here. Yesterday's range in the end was 80 pips. It's not too bad, but it's significantly down on the sort of 120s, 130 pips that we've been having. So as I say, there's the potential for this to get a bit of a leg on as well. So for the daily pivot. But thereafter, we've got to be watching for that monthly pivot, and maybe we can just simply draw a trend line across the lows, more recent lows, and if we see that breaking down, well, that could be a sort of a more of a swing type or short-term target. Right, looking at the dollar yen, and got within a whisker of the daily 50, maybe on some brokers that got hit. Currently got the monthly pivot above us. It's just sort of chasing for that at the moment by the looks of things. It still hasn't technically filled the gap that sort of sits there. There's a gap that's missing. So there is the possibility this could run up, and that'd be a good way. The monthly pivot is a good way of starting to fill the gap. We've got the weekly pivot above that, and then the gap. So there's certainly could be a decent draw for more upside on the dollar yen. Oops, sorry. Okay, and finally Aussie dollar. Another currency that's been sitting in a very tight range. I'm not too sure why I've got this trend line still sitting on here. There we go. Okay, such a tight range. The monthly pivot was in the middle of things, and it's already hit it. So no targets from the monthly pivot perspective. At the moment, we're still in this sort of choppy zone. We got, as I said before, we got strong support at 76. I think we could just be sitting here for a while to come. There's little hope by the looks of things at the moment of anything different. So I'm just looking at a very strong sort of trend and this sort of intermediate time across these lows here, along with a lower band. If it does start breaking down from that, well, we could at least see that MIDI probably hit there on the from a monthly perspective. We've already hit the monthly pivot, daily pivot, weekly pivot, so they're all out the way. And even R1, there's such a tight range yesterday. There is a possibility we could come down and hit R2 as well, and we could draw that trend line across these sort of levels. Just to maybe actually just draw it more on the more recent lows there. So just really looking at that for it, I mean, in terms of potential downside. And then the S1 would sit nicely with yesterday's lows as possible support. And if we do see a breakdown, well, then maybe the S2 with those prior lows, somewhere in that region. Okay, difficult one really in terms of reading. It's a bit like cable. They're not really going any too far at the moment. But there we go. That's how the majors are running today. In terms of news, we've got the start of a new month, so with that we have the UK manufacturing PMI out at 9:30. We've got Carney speaking today at 10:30, which always is holding a press conference on the financial stability report, so that certainly could give some volatility around the pound at 10:30. So we've got 9:30 and 10:30, and then the Eurogroup meetings are happening all day. So again, with Greece in the sort of forefront, we could see more talked about there, and some volatility coming out any part of the day from that. ADP non-farm payrolls at 115. These are starting to create volatility again. They were absolutely useless at one stage. They're a very rough guide of what really happens, but we're starting to see volatility around those again. So watching out 115, and we've got the ISM manufacturing US manufacturing figures at 3 o'clock. So we could see again volatility around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So a few elements of news, maybe enough to give us a bit of a kickstart and a boost at certain times. So hopefully great trading day. Have a good one. Bye for now.